All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 268 of the KBMOD podcast. It is March 5th, 2017. And yeah, we're back here again with you. We were going to have a little bit of an intimate cast. We weren't sure. Katie Zen had something come up, so he's not able to be here. Brad's at a LAN, I believe. And we thought it might just be me and Brandon. We're going to have a little, some of the fireside cracklings, just a little intimate affair. But then we're like, oh, no, Tim's here. Tim can join us.
Tim had to come and make
Tim's
it a
no
threesome.
stranger to the cast anymore either. So
I'm always available.
always
Not always,
here.
I shouldn't say that. Mostly available.
Mostly.
I was gonna
Okay,
say,
we'll
Tim
take
just
mostly,
Tim just
not always.
admitting he's got absolutely nothing going on
It's
Sunday
true.
night.
I like how you tried to recover that.
I tried to backpedal, but
It's all good. Honesty is the best policy most of the time, unless
most of the time, yes.
the situation calls for lying, which is a lot. But so I guess that's actually not true at all. But no, it's good to have Tim on and
Good to be back.
have Brandon back. Brandon, you were at where were you at last week? Remind me.
I was out of town for a funeral, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. All right. For some reason, I thought there was like a PAX event or something like that. I don't know. Maybe
no,
I'm
that's
confusing
next
weeks.
week, actually.
That
That's
is
PAX
next week.
East is this coming weekend, so
Yes.
I will be gone
Shit.
next this coming weekend as well. But no, last weekend was unfortunately, not the greatest of circumstances to miss the
Right.
cast.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it is good to have you back. And on that note, we always talk about what we've been doing, what we've been playing. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity. Anything of note happened this week that you would like to talk about? Meet any interesting or strange people? Eat any delicious food?
I work at a bank again, so I always meet
Mm.
interesting people. But
I bet you do.
I had some lady ask me to go to the bar during my work hours. So I was like, I can't go
Oh.
anywhere. She had 3 teeth. She smelled like she was already drunk. And
Wait, which
she
3?
smelled,
Was it like front 3 or was it
Yeah.
like complete gums in the
they were
front?
scattered. They were
Okay.
scattered.
Okay.
They weren't together. It was
Mm.
a moment, and I think it beats the lady having a PBR open in her front seat while she came to the drive-through when I was working at a different bank. So
Well,
it's
I mean,
up
that's
there
just,
with those
you know,
experiences.
nothing wrong
Yeah.
with just cruising around with your PBR.
I guess not, but
That open container,
Yeah,
dude.
well,
You know what? It's
let's-
funny. PBR is the only beer that cops are like, yeah, don't worry about it. And they see PBR, they're like, you know what? Yeah, it's not worth it.
Open
Go ahead.
container law. What's
you
that?
just stand hydrated.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
that was the highlight of my week at work, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if you could call it that, but
I feel what you're
this
saying.
is a story from work for sure.
Keeps the days interesting, at least. I mean,
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
that's pretty good. I have to share an awkward experience, and you guys can rate how awkward this was. But so I was coming home. It was I forget where I went out. I think I went out to like pick up. I think it was getting groceries. I don't remember, but it was like pretty late at night, as I do most things here, because usually stream till like 9 or 10 and then go out. So I was bringing groceries back into my apartment, and I live on a second floor building. And there was this guy when I was walking in, trying to get buzzed in, but the door wasn't working. So I had like my key thing, and I was able to open the door. And so he goes in and he goes towards the elevator. And I have this thing where, like a lot of people, I absolutely despise riding in elevators with people that I don't know. I just it physically pains me, and I will go out of my way to do things. I will wait until 3 people ride the elevator individually till I have to ride with somebody. Now, that might be a little bit extreme in certain situations. If I'm carrying a lot of stuff or whatever, I'm like, whatever. I'm not gonna try to make up situations for why I can't get on the elevator right now. But in this case, I was like, I don't know the guy, whatever. I'm gonna go check the mail, which was a legitimate thing that I needed to do. So the mailbox is around the corner. So
it
I see
wasn't
him go-
obvious that you were dodging this guy.
no, not right away. And
Okay.
so he goes in, and I see him go into the elevator, and I'm walking around the corner. I mean, it is a legitimate thing. I am checking the mail because I hadn't checked for the day. And so I go in to the mailbox, and I open it up, and I'm like, there's an Entertainment Weekly magazine in the mailbox, which, first of all, this is a whole nother story, but I've been getting Entertainment Weekly sent to me for the last 2 years, and I don't know who's sending it to me. So if you're sending me Entertainment Weekly, thank you, but I don't even read it, and I
The fact
can't
that
figure
you've
it out.
moved and you're still getting them,
And
that's
so this is
impressive.
the thing, Tim. I moved. I've checked everything. I've checked all my cards. I've checked everything. I'm not being charged for it. Like I don't know where I got signed up. I literally moved Tim. I was like, oh, there's no way they're gonna send it again. Tim, after my mail stopped getting forwarded from my old place, they have my new address, and it's not even forwarded. It's just to my new address and to me. I can't get away from it.
This is like the subtlest, scariest doxing I've ever heard of.
I have
That
no
is-
idea. So it's like,
It's from LA too. Like, did it start in LA?
No, it started when I moved. It started when I moved back to the East Coast, and I don't, and I can't figure it out. I'm sure I could probably call up and say, like, can you tell me who's
Probably
paying
Bob.
for this?
Are
It's
you
probably
sure
Bob.
that maybe just like everyone in Pennsylvania gets Entertainment Weekly? That like
I
that's
can
just
confirm I do not get Entertainment Weekly. So
Okay. Yeah, so no, it's weird. But anyway, so I see that, and that obviously triggers my paranoia. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. Another Entertainment Weekly. So, but I can't pretend that I'm doing other things. Like I'm carrying one grocery bag, and I'm like just listening. I'm listening for the elevator to go up, and it's like not going up. And I'm like, all of a sudden I have this thought because I've been fiddling around with the mailbox for about a minute. So about 60 seconds have elapsed since I walk in, and I don't hear the elevator go upstairs. And I'm like, please don't tell me he's holding it. So I hope against hope. I think I found a wrapper of something in my coat pocket. So I throw that into the trash can next to the mailboxes, and I'm buying another 30 seconds and then another 30 seconds. And I'm just kind of like shifting back and forth. And I'm like, all right, eventually I'm gonna have to turn this corner, and either he's gonna be upstairs and gone in the elevator, or he's gonna be holding the. And at this point, I've really inconvenienced this guy if he's holding the elevator, because I've just wasted like 2+ minutes of his time getting my Entertainment Weekly subscription.
Well, he's in the same situation if he's still there, because
No,
he's like,
exactly.
wait, no, I can't close it now, because what if he's just right there?
He was probably having a similar situation. So I turn the corner, and sure enough, this is like 2.5 minutes have gone by. He's standing there, just arm on the door, like looking at me, waiting for me to come over. And I'm like, oh, and then it's so awkward because not only do I not want to ride with somebody else to have a conversation, now he's like gone out of his way to like be nice. And so I'm like, oh, sorry. And I don't even know what I said. And I get in the elevator with him. And so now once the elevator closes, this is where it's only like it's not even that long of a ride. And I'm just like, what am I going to say? Like, what am I going to say to him? So as we go up, what do I do? What is the elevator talk that everybody defaults to? What do you think I brought up? What do you think? Because I could not say anything because he seemed like a nice enough guy.
Like,
what day was it?
Close. You're close. What else?
Cold outside, huh?
God damn it. Yes, I talked about the weather. I literally said, so we're just like, I'm idling on my back heels, like, oh, all right. And then I go, man, some cold weather we're having today. like every other fucking bitch boy, like, you know,
it's like you pulled it literally out of a book.
Person.
It
is.
Working back at the bank, I've become more aware of that type of conversation. And literally, like I stay away from it because it's just so generic and boring and lame.
Yeah.
But like the people that are working there, every single fucking customer, supposed to be 60 degrees on Saturday. Supposed to be 60 degrees on Saturday.
Yep.
Man, it's fucking cold now. I'm like, God damn it! It's the biggest pet peeve I have now, and it's awful.
It's not because like, and in most situations, in a lot of situations, I do hold my tongue. I don't just have idle conversation because chat's freaking out. Like, you don't have to say anything. No, this guy literally inconvenienced himself like 2.5 minutes, like to wait for me to come up. So for me to just walk in there and then just stand there and literally leave without saying anything would have been super douchey. So to be fair, his face lit up when I said how cold, because we've been having, at least on the East Coast, we've been having this weather where it's like,
because the weather has been cold, and so you get to share that moment that, wow, we actually have been having cold weather, haven't we?
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, it has been cold. He's like, but and then he had an accent too. I'm not sure where he was from. He definitely wasn't, English wasn't his first language. And he was like, yeah, they tricked me. I thought it was going to be summer last week because we were in like the 70s. It was like 74 for like multiple days. And I was like, and then, I was able to grasp on that little piece. And I was like, oh yeah. And then we had this like pleasant interaction. And then by the time we were done with talking about the goddamn weather, the door opened and I said, have a nice day. And he said, have a nice day. And I left. And so the conversation served its purpose. it kind of, you know, broke the tension
Sounds like
a little bit.
you somehow
But
managed to salvage.
it as close as possible. I mean, again, it's just. But do you guys have that same like aversion to like, especially it's more like
I
if it's
do.
just one other person. If it's like a group of people, whatever, I'm not gonna like. But if
I
it's
mean,
like one other
I think
person,
the
I hate
typical
it.
move is you pull out the phone and you
Yes,
check. You
phone
act
is
like you're like
classic.
checking your calendar, checking. You know, that you've got something that just buzzed your phone or something. And if you want to, I mean, but that only works if you're going 1 or 2 floors.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. Like a short elevator ride, I'm more like willing or whatever to not. If it's like something ridiculous, like if I got to go like 30 floors, I'm not gonna do that. Like within reason, I can handle it. I just hate. I don't know what it. I guess it's just like general social anxiety, and generally, I'm not like that. Like I can talk to anybody. It's not. It's just being forced to be in a small space with people that you would, you know, you're not
Well,
choosing to be with other
you're
people.
forced to be there for this very short period of time. So you can't you fundamentally cannot get to know the person or
Yeah,
anything. And so there is truly no point to the interaction other than just being a pleasant person.
exactly. Exactly. And that's what I try to do. I mean, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'll come clean. I've had fake conversations on my phone to not get in an elevator. That's maybe like the ultimate level. I've never admitted this to anybody, but I will like if I see that like somebody's going to get ahead of me, I will be like, oh, I've literally this is fucked up. I will take my phone out of my pocket and be like, oh, hello, and like just to sell it, just to sell that, you know, I got something else to do. I can't get in the
That's a little
elevator with you.
far. That is a
That
little
is far.
Like
But I've done it.
inconveniencing yourself so that you don't have to be in the same elevator as others. That's
Yeah.
definitely
No, that's. I mean,
uh,
I'm sure. Like, listen,
that's like
dude.
that's like the
My
stuff you
street
talk to your
is
therapist
woman.
about.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And
Sounds
I
like
don't.
whenever he does that and the phone starts actually ringing as he's mid
Yeah,
conversation.
no, that's always been my nightmare too, though, because I thought about that. Usually, I have my phone on silent, so that's not an issue. But yeah, no,
Even
that is exactly what would happen to me.
if you're close
It would
enough
start
where
ringing.
they could maybe hear the vibration. But if someone calls you and it starts vibrating, oh,
Oh God, it would be bad. So anyway, there we go. This is
that would be your
the
just
episode
that would
where
be your just desserts though. That'd be like
it
it would
would
only
be.
take one of those times for you to stop faking phone calls
Yeah, I
to
would.
not get in
I would have
elevators
that
with
happen
people.
once, and I mean, I wouldn't say every time. It's more like I don't know. I'm trying to remember the last time I did that. That's kind of like a last resort thing. If I'm really like, you know, I got nowhere to be. Like, let's
Yeah.
not do this. But I mean, there's some people. I'm glad that chat overall. There's a few people that are admitting that they have similar issues, so that makes me feel good. A lot of people are just saying, no, dude, they don't have any problems. So, congrats to you guys. I'm glad elevators are not a source of serious stress for you. Oh man.
Well, as I'm thinking
I
about
just
the
hate
guy in your elevator story here, it's possible that you were doing whatever you could to not be in the same elevator as him. Maybe he
Yeah.
has the opposite,
Yeah,
like the
I feel like
opposite
he does.
phobia where he doesn't want to take an elevator alone.
By
Like maybe
himself.
it's something where he's afraid he might get stuck or whatever and doesn't want to be alone in an elevator.
That's what I was just thinking. Because
Oh,
within
man.
reason, like, wouldn't you say after 60 seconds of hearing somebody in their mailbox, you would be like,
I would let
okay,
it go. I'd go
they're
up.
not worrying about
I
getting
mean,
in this elevator.
60? Are you kidding me? Like I'm not
30
going to wait. I'm
seconds?
not going to wait
Yeah.
10, 15
15?
seconds.
I know.
Honestly,
And
if
I,
that door's
elevator.
closing, it's closing, and if they want to get there, that's
Yes.
on them to get their arm in that door. To be
and I'm the
honest.
same. I'm the same way. Yeah, exactly. Like if they're gonna see me do it, but like I'll try to get up. Like, you know, if I even see somebody like in the glass doors and they're coming, I'm like, oh no, this elevator's going up. I'm hitting the button,
I think
even though it's not doing it
that's
any
what keeps
faster.
you. I feel like I don't really go out of my way to hold the elevator for someone because I feel like that's what will slow the elevators down in general. Like they might
Yeah.
take so long that the elevator can actually take me up and come back down and get them. You know, in the time.
Honestly,
that,
by the time that for as long as he waited, and again, like you said, maybe he just doesn't like to ride elevators by himself. I could, you know, he could have, like, yeah, it was crazy. Anyway,
or,
so
I mean, maybe he thought you were attractive, and that's like a nonchalant way to kind of start a conversation.
yeah,
Now
exactly.
now you might recognize him if you two are,
Yeah,
going in
that's
the
true.
elevator again.
I don't think he was somebody that lived in the building. I think he was visiting somebody. So, but who knows? Maybe he will visit again. But do you think in that case though, I couldn't get in that elevator and not say a single thing to him, right?
No, I
Like
think it
I
is
had to say
definitely.
something.
At that point, you had to.
I mean, if I were you, I think I might have I might have said something like, "Oh, hey, thanks for holding this for me," just because like you clearly know he went out of his way to
I
do
did,
it.
and see this. You know what's so funny is because I was panicking internally. I know I said something like that because I went around the corner and I saw him holding it, and I was like, I definitely said something before I shuffle out. I was like, I think I just said thanks or something like that. But then
Just
as
some
I was
acknowledgement
panicking,
that you in your mind
there was
knew
acknowledgement.
you in your mind knew that he like completely went out of his way to hold it for
Yes,
you. So
I
some
did.
acknowledgement that that you weren't actually trying to avoid this situation and instead
Right.
thank him for for helping you out. I think
Yeah,
that's the polite thing to do.
it was, and I think what I'm realizing now hearing this back is because I did him a service by letting him in the building. Right, he was trying to buzz somebody unsuccessfully. I could tell he wasn't getting in, and maybe I let him in.
Oh wow, that changes this entire story.
Yeah, no. But so he was. So this is what I'm saying at the very beginning. I came in with the grocery bag. He was trying to get in the into the building, and I let him in with my key. So I'm guessing that added to the pressure. But even then, even in spite of getting let in, after, like you said, 30, 60 seconds, the average person is going to just go up in the
Okay.
elevator.
In that case, I missed that part. In that case, I think your suspicion and wanting to not be in the same elevator is completely warranted. Because who knows who this guy is?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he didn't look like a bad guy, but but no, I'm saying, but that explains for me his motive of feeling like he had to go over the top. But even then, even if somebody lets me in a building 60 seconds, maybe I wait 30. Like if I see them go do the mail, maybe I wait 30. I don't wait.
I mean,
I don't wait
60 seconds is a long time to hold an elevator.
That is a long time. Yeah.
That is easily that's like 2 trips up and down the entire building for the elevator.
Not to mention like 2.5 minutes. I'm not kidding. When I was dragging my feet, just flipping the pages of my Entertainment Weekly that I don't know why I'm fucking subscribed to it. Like I was really burning the clock, and he's still. I mean, maybe he's just a nice guy. I don't know. Anyway, so that was you want to know how interesting my life is? That was one of the more interesting things that happened to me this week. But anyway, but yeah, I wanted to get your take on it. So I'm glad that though you felt like I didn't mess up.
I don't think you're completely off base, but I think you're definitely the fake phone call stuff. That's a little far. So I'm glad that wasn't part of this scenario.
Cantu in chat did tell me that he said that do the headphone trick because no one tries to talk to you if you have headphones in, and that is true.
Oh, that's true. But that the headphone thing is just my normal. That's my normal operating procedure. Like when I'm going to and from work, my headphones are always in, even if I'm not listening to music.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, it is really good.
Like when that's just like public transportation pro tip. Just like always have headphones in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, that's good. I just wanted to get the take on that. Definitely, I'll keep you guys updated as my as I try to get help for my elevator phobia and anxiety. I don't know. I'm sure there's help. I'm sure there's help out there.
As well as I think I know you, there's always another layer.
Another layer, isn't there? Yeah, lots of layers. Definitely like an onion. Okay. Yeah. Anything else after that? I know that went way longer than I thought it was going to be. But that's basically every time I talk. Anything else before we jump into the games that we've been playing this week?
Not that I'll follow that.
Yeah, definitely nothing nearly as interesting as awkward elevator. Conversation in elevator.
Yes.
But no, actually, I didn't really have anything going on. I had a dentist appointment. No cavities. So
congrats.
That is always a victory. That's a victory.
Yeah. So I mean,
are you somebody prone to cavities, or do you generally have pretty good teeth? Or
yeah, no, I've had a fair amount of cavities in my life. Mm-hmm. So it's actually, I mean, I'm sure this is incredibly boring to people that aren't me, but actually not having cavities is like a pretty
my mouth.
like not having cavities is actually pretty awesome because I've had cavities before when I've done everything right. I've like brushing 2 times a day. Flossing, all that, and I'll still get cavities. So yeah. But I have better dental hygiene now than I ever did as a kid, and I still would have like the occasional cavity or two. It's crazy. It's a mess.
Yeah. So I hate to be that guy, Brandon, but You look at me, you go, that guy probably eats a lot of sweets, probably eats garbage. That guy probably mouth is full of cavities. And I have never had a cavity in my life. I'm turning 30.
Really?
I'm turning
Some
30.
people are blessed.
No,
Man.
yeah, and it's not anything. I'm not brushing my teeth any more than anybody else. I'm not doing any kind of crazy flossing. I mean, I use mouthwash. And I literally asked the dentist. I was like, I think I talked about this the last time I went, but I was like, what is this genetic? This has to be genetics. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, I don't eat that many, like I don't have a sweet tooth in the sense of like, I don't eat a lot of like candy and stuff. I'm more like savory. So, but even then that still can cause issues. So
the fact that you've never had one, that is crazy to me. Cause throughout my life, I know I've had at least like probably 6 or 8, like at least.
No, I know. I'm waiting for. I think what's going to happen with me is I'm going to go in like one day, and they're just going to be like, every tooth that you have is infected, and we have to take every. You know what I mean? They're just going to be like, we got to rip it all out, and we got to give you fake teeth. I think it's all like waiting for one.
Holding your teeth. You're like, what are you doing? We're like, these have to go.
We got to cut it all out, all of it, everything. So I don't know. Yeah, I've just been super lucky. Like even in my family, like, most of my family members, they've had a lot of cavities overall, but so I don't know. I've been lucky, but that's great, man. That's like you said, there's nothing better than getting like a clean bill. Do you go for cleaning like once a year, twice? Like, do you
I go
keep up on
like
it, or
twice
do
a
you
year?
avoid?
Yeah, because I have a retainer on the bottom, like a permanent retainer, and so every 6 months, like because I can't really brush around it, it's like it just kind of gets grimy and you can't really clean it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So every 6 months, I'm ready for that cleaning. I've come out and I feel like a new man. So it felt good.
Yeah,
having no cavities, it's like, man, I was on cloud 9 that day.
Yeah, I mean, I hate. Speaking of things I hate, dentists are definitely one of them too. So not to mention that, but so I went, Brandon. This was like maybe over a year ago, and I hadn't gone to the dentist in 4 years, and so I was expecting. I thought it was gonna.
Yeah, that is not even fair. That you don't go to the dentist for 4 years and you still don't have any cavities. That is absurd.
I was expecting the absolute worst. I mean, I didn't like nothing hurt in my mouth, but that's not a sign of a cavity. Like you can have cavities and it doesn't have to be painful. So anyway, I'm saying this now just to state, like, as I keep talking about this, I know that like my odds of not getting it, like I'm losing any karma I got from just silently sitting in victory. But we'll see.
Last time I was at the dentist, they told me I was gonna have to get braces eventually, and I haven't been back since. So,
oh really? So
I do need to get on top of that at one point.
Yeah, he's just like, you really need braces. I'm like, I'm never going back. That would be me. That would be me too. Like, hell no.
It's just like something about the dentist, like.
Dude,
my parents didn't make us go until like we were conscious of what they were doing. So it was like at that point, because I knew what could happen there. It's like, I don't want to go there. Like, why do I want this to happen to me?
Yeah, there's no. I definitely
honestly, I'm looking at your teeth now. They're not that fucked up that like I'd be like, man,
I mean,
like your teeth aren't that bad.
Don't go. No, your teeth look fine enough. Don't do it.
That's the thing though, is like if your teeth aren't that bad, then you would only need braces for a really short period of time.
Yeah.
The problem is if they get worse and worse, then you have to have braces on for longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I never liked the dentist, but I had braces multiple times as a kid, and I feel like I was just always like either at the dentist or orthodontist or whatever. And so at a certain point, I just kind of became numb to it. Just like, all right, do whatever you're gonna do. Brace. All right, braces.
You let the dentist have his way with you over the years. You're just...
I mean, once you like, especially when you have to have like the not just braces, but like the bands, that kind of pull your jaw back, or it's just like there's all sorts of awful contraptions they end up putting in children's mouths, and.
That scars them for life.
Somebody tell me what time of the podcast was that where he said contraptions into children's mouths.
It was already coming out of my mouth. I couldn't change course.
Somebody please clip that and tweet it to me so I can have a new donation sign tomorrow. Thank you.
But yes, the point of my story was, yes, I don't like the dentist either, but at a certain point I just kind of got used to it.
Yeah. No, I feel what you're saying. I mean, the worst thing that's ever happened to me, someone's pointed out in chat, the wisdom teeth removal, that was the biggest deal I've ever had at any kind of doctor with teeth. And that sucked. I had to get all 4 out. And that was That was not fun, but I think most people end up having to do. You guys all have your wisdom teeth
Yeah,
out?
yeah. I had mine out.
Or did you have any of them?
No.
No? Oh, Tim. Oh, boy. Tim's setting up braces.
So what year do they usually come in? Because there was a year where I had to get like like 4 taken out, but I think it was that my baby molars were not coming out, and I had to get those.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you had your wisdom teeth taken out, you would know.
Yeah, you would have remembered.
It's not
like I was fucked up for a week.
It's not like the dentist tells you at the end of the appointment, like, oh, by the way, we took your wisdom teeth out.
No, exactly. Like I went under. Like I was. Yeah, they put me under for that. I don't know if they
always black out, and I just let it happen.
Or well, they laughing gas me, and I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
I go under. I don't even want to be awake. I don't want to see any of that shit.
I definitely I think I was under for most of it. I do remember waking up and not I just had my mouth open and they're talking and stuff, and I was aware that they were cutting things out and I couldn't feel it, so I was like whatever. But yeah,
that's good.
But then I made the hadn't called it. So I worked at the time I worked at a Wawa in near my house because I think it was in high school. And so I hadn't asked off for that weekend. I got them out on a Thursday, and I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I go in, and I'm like, you look like a fucking chipmunk, and you can't talk. And I was literally cashier. And I remember coming in, and my manager was like, "What the fuck happened to you?" And I'm like, "I got my wisdom teeth out." He's like, "Why didn't you ask off?" I was like, "I thought recovery would be quick." He was like, "Oh, you could ask off for a day." And I ended up working all through on pain meds, and he put me on register on day 2. I think I worked deli, most of the other stuff where I didn't. So I didn't have to interact a ton with customers. He tried to put me on stuff, but he was so miffed. And I was like, I mean, I don't plan. I don't know. I just stumbled through life. I don't know what I needed. But he was
facing position the day after you get your wisdom teeth taken out, man.
I look like an absolute freak. I had a lot of swelling too. So, oh well. Live and you learn, I guess. But maybe somehow my wisdom teeth is tied to elevators. Maybe something snapped in my brain, and who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's all connected. But okay, well that's good. No, listen. We can talk about anything here. I mean, people will probably first time listening to this are going, "Is this a gaming podcast? Do you guys talk about gaming at all?" And we do.
For about 5 minutes. Do.
But that one guy who hasn't had his wisdom teeth out yet, now he's gonna know. Terrified. Hey, I need to take off that next day.
Yes, I hope that is helpful. If you have
at least the next day. Job. If and not even a few days after that.
Even a few days. I was also in pain. So it's probably good to just rest up and not do much. You shouldn't be working right after you get your wisdom teeth out. That's for sure.
That's what we're here. We're here to drop little nuggets of wisdom about wisdom teeth.
Don't do as we did, or I did mostly, probably. But yeah. Okay. Did we lose somebody? Oh, we lost Tim. Okay, it's all right. Well, I was just about to go into what we've been playing. So I'll start with you, Brandon, and hopefully we'll get Tim back. But game wise, have you been playing anything in particular? And wow, I just went full screen.
Yeah, that's pretty nice now. No, actually, well, I haven't really been playing a whole lot. This week I was pretty busy with work stuff and just all sorts of stuff. So I didn't really get a chance to play much. I kind of played Hearthstone a little bit because there were some changes there, and there's a new expansion coming before too long. So I'm trying to stay on top of the Hearthstone meta, even though I'm not playing that much Hearthstone, just so I'm kind of ready when the expansion drops. Other than that, I think we talked about I decided to cancel my WoW subscription a little while back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I just wasn't playing much, and so yeah, I think you've been trying to keep me honest, but I think the curse or the the hold that WoW once had on me is definitely broken now. But so I went on today and decided to sell some of my gold for for BattleNet balance, because we talked about that a while back. And it was it worked just like you'd expect. You go to the auction house. I bought a token, and you can either choose to redeem it for 30 days of game time, or you can have it add $15 to your balance. It tells you what your balance is and what it will be. So I went ahead and bought 2 of them and just redeemed it. And actually, that's what I used those to pay for the pre-ordering packs for the new Hearthstone expansion.
Okay. I mean, there you go. That's a pretty cool success story of like actually using the system for, I guess, transferring your focus onto a game that you want to actually play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's super smart too, because I'm still spending it within Blizzard's ecosystem. It's just that it's like if you play WoW a whole lot, it's basically just reinforcing like, hey, if you've got a whole bunch of gold you don't want, why don't you spend it on our other games? And that basically just, is going to turn you into a more hardcore Blizzard fan, if anything. So,
right. Yeah, that is smart.
I just, it's not like it took me that much to get that WoW gold. So I'm sure I could get it back if I decide to return to WoW. But for now, I think, especially with travel and stuff, like it's only $15 a month, but when I find myself only playing, a couple times a month, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing this week. The only other thing, it's not gaming, but I've continued to be like, since I've been traveling a fair amount for one reason or another, and most of it has been on planes. I continue trying to find stuff I can watch that I can either download from Netflix or download from Amazon Prime, like stuff I can watch offline on planes. And I started watching Sneaky Pete, it's an Amazon Prime original.
Yes,
it's actually quite good.
It's quite very good.
Yeah.
My parents, I visited them this weekend. They would not shut up. They told me I should really watch it. They said it was really, because it's got Bryan Cranston in it, right?
Yeah, Bryan Cranston's like kind of the antagonist character.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah, it's really good. It's got like some. I didn't necessarily recognize many of the names, but I recognized who the actors were. Like they're actors I've seen in other things, but maybe not like household names. But yeah, it's really good. So I'm working my way through that.
I feel like Amazon has some pretty decent, like there's a lot of, like whenever I use my Fire Stick, I have it in my living room. And so like I'll use it to, watch Twitch streams and stuff. I'll bring it up and there'll be like a lot of shows that I've heard through the grapevine are really good, but I'm so behind on so many things that it's like hard for me to, like even on Netflix where I'm like, I haven't even watched some of the Netflix ones that came out last year.
Yeah, between Amazon Prime and Netflix, they have so many originals that
the Amazon Prime one I've watched is Man in the High Castle, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
That one where it's like Nazi actually won the war.
Yeah, I fell off that one in season 2. Season 2 is like didn't really hold my interest.
That back up.
But they just have so many original shows that if you wanted to watch all of them, I mean they basically could fill all of your TV watching time.
Yeah, there's that's cool though. Okay, so I will note that. I will add that to my list of ones that I need to start, and then probably not never finish, but we'll finish in like 2 years from now. Sneaky Pete, cool. All right, you're back, Tim. Everything okay?
I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Curse Crash, but whatever.
You're good. All right. Well, perfect timing. We just got done. Brandon telling us about what he's been playing and watching. Right. What about you? What's been happening?
I've been playing a few games this week. You may have heard of them. Some may not have. Earlier in the week I started Oxygen Not Included. It's kind of one of those colony sim type games, but it's made by Clay Studios, the guys who made Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together and all that stuff. So it's got that kind of cutesy, cartoony feel to it. But it's a colony sim, so it's like 2D, kind of like an ant farm is the best way to kind of describe it. But there's a lot of stuff. It's tough. You got to manage a lot of stuff, and the main one obviously is oxygen, kind of hinted towards in the title. But it's a tougher game, but it's a good intro to the colony builder type games, much like RimWorld or Factorio, which are just super overwhelming when you first start them off. This game, you kind of, it doesn't have much going on with it because it's still early access, so there's not much to build or develop into, which I kind of like at the moment. So it'd be nice to kind of learn the game as it gets developed and as they add in new stuff. Because right now you can only research about 10 different things to make in the game, but obviously they want to add more and make it so you can do lots of different stuff inside the game. So if you want to get into colony sims and all that stuff, but you just get overwhelmed by how much there is, maybe a good intro to those types of games for sure.
How much is it?
I think it's 20-ish bucks on Steam.
Okay, so
it's early access, so I mean, always gotta preface that. But it's weird to get into it because if you look it up on Steam right now, you can't just buy it on Steam. You have to kind of go to their subreddit and then find a link at the top of a pinned post on the page, and then it'll bring you back to Steam where you can actually buy it. It's kind of weird. So if you want to play it, you kind of have to actually work for it. So
if you want to play it, actually, you have to get Tim's PayPal. You send the $20 to Tim, and then he sends you the instructions on how you can purchase it on Steam. Tim, I can help you out.
Then you pay $20, another $20 to actually get the game.
So it's really 40, but Tim's does the service of telling you how you can.
Yeah, it's a finder's fee.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pretty much. Another game I've been playing is called Desync. It's kind of like a, it's got like an 80s styles like Tron vibe to it from the look of it. But it's got a really, really good like synthwave soundtrack to it. But it's a first-person shooter. It's kind of like wave-based. Each level is. You kind of like fight off some waves, and you move on to the next part of the level, fight off more waves. But the whole idea of it is kind of like you get the highest score as you can, and the way you do that is like through glory kills, kind of like Bulletstorm, where you use like different weapons and different parts of your weapon and different parts of the environment to get different kills and all that stuff. So I've been playing that for a review for the site, so that'll be up sometime later this week. But it's been interesting. There's some good parts and bad parts to it, so I'll be talking about that later on. But the two main games I've been playing this week are Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda Breath of the Wild, obviously.
The meat. Give me the meat, Tim, because both of these I want to hear about. Start with Horizon Zero Dawn, because people...
Horizon Zero Dawn, all right.
Start with that.
So this one came out on PS4. It's a PS4 exclusive. It takes place in what they call a post-apocalypse, like apocalyptic world. So think like Fallout 4 and then like another 100 years in the future. Okay. And the humans have kind of like fallen back to like a tribal type mindset almost. Mm-hmm. And like there's these machines that are walking around, just giant animal machine beasts that are walking around that kind of like roam the earth and all that stuff. And they're freaking insane. Like they're the best part about that game is fighting these beasts. It's an open world action RPG is how I would describe it. Mm-hmm. So like it takes the best part of all the open world games that are out there, like The Witcher, Far Cry, Monster Hunter, any open world game that you may think of. It takes the best from those and blends them all together, like better than any other game has, like so far is the best way I can describe it. Wow. So it has your towers to like uncover the map, like Far Cry does. The combat feels a lot like Monster Hunter, to where the beasts don't go down in 2 hits. You have to really work to get your kill. And like the planning from like say The Witcher, like how you have like the plan to really take on those fights, especially with the bigger hunts. Right. You really have to like plan out your approach, your attack, maybe set up traps to fall back into, maybe set up a second set of traps to fall back into if those traps don't work, stuff like that. So it's really interesting. It's really cool. They do a really good job of mixing like the tribal type feel with the modern robot tech and all that stuff. Like it blends very well. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. Like watching the trailers and like upon the E3 reveal a couple years ago from it and all that stuff, but it blends really well. And there are a few moments where you go into like just their factories where the robots are made is really what it is. And they look really cool. Like they look really, really cool. Like they're all modern and like, all metal and like wires and all that stuff, like going everywhere. But it just, I hit one yesterday and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I don't know why. But the biggest surprise for me on it is like I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, and this says the same for the PS4, just regular PS4 Slims or whatever. It runs at a steady 30 frames a second, which obviously we would want it on PC. We want it to be 60 frames or more. Sure. But for a console game to run at a steady 30 frames and not drop at all, that is something to be like commended for how big the game is and how open it is and all that stuff. Because there's no loading screens going in and out of areas. It's, you can go from one end of the map to the other end of the map, and there won't be a loading screen. It'll just usually just walk there. So for it to run at a steady 30 frames, I feel was like a huge, it's something good. For at least for like the tech that they have out there and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean it's a pretty ambitious. I've tried to stay somewhat spoiler free, but it's visually and stuff and how big it is. It looks pretty ambitious. So
yeah,
I mean, if it's the console stuff that kills you is when it's like they're trying to achieve 30 and then it dips to like 19 constantly or something like that, and you're like,
I was worried because it's made by the developers of Killzone, and Killzone isn't known for running that well. And it's on the same engine that Killzone's on, but they've just been able, they've mastered it. They've made that engine run to the best of its ability and looking the best that it can as well. Like to date, it's probably the best console exclusive I've looked at from like a pure visual, like graphic standpoint. So
that's awesome.
If you own a PS4, it's one of the reasons why you own a PS4. It's like a PS4 exclusive that you won't see on Xbox, you won't see on PC.
So this is what I was going to ask you, because this is basically what I'm seeing from everybody. But this is like Uncharted territory, like game wise. Not making a pun, but Uncharted the franchise, which was a seller of the PS4.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, like
Uncharted
Last of Us. PS4.
Like
Last of Us.
Like it's in that company. It seems like, as far as quality, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And a new franchise, which is exciting, because I'm always like, I'm excited to see new franchises. So
yeah, my favorite thing about the game is like the mystery of like how they got to where they were. Like, why are these machines still out? Why aren't the humans using the machinery to their advantage to advance, like, their lifestyle once again? Like, just kind of figuring out like where the disconnect there is. That's like my favorite part about that game so far. I mean, on top of the combat and the quests and all that stuff. My biggest gripe with the game is that the lip sync in the cutscenes, like to the voices actually coming out, is off by a good half to full second. So it kind of takes away from some of the cutscenes. But if that's the only, I wouldn't say the only flaw, but like one of the major flaws that I see so far in the game. But it's fun. It's fun. And then the other one is Breath of the Wild.
You say you're doing what would you rate it? Like, or do you not want to reveal that right now?
So far, I mean, I tweeted this yesterday. It's slowly climbing to one of my top 5 favorite games of all time.
Wow.
So it's slowly climbing itself up there. I'm about 20 hours into the game so far. So I mean, I've only uncovered about a quarter of the map. So we'll see.
Crazy. That's okay.
But that's that. The next one I've been playing, obviously, along with a lot of other people, is Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda. I've been playing it on my Wii U. I didn't buy a Switch.
I was just gonna ask you, Switch first impressions? Come on, Tim.
No Switch first impressions. I didn't have the money.
God, we lost all of our viewers and listeners. They all clicked off, man. No one wants to.
Sorry. Sorry. No, it's I've been playing on my Wii U. I've never played a 3D Zelda game, to be honest. Which may offend some people, I guess, but
let them be offended.
Let them be offended. I've played, the first 2. I've played Link's Awakening and Oracle Seasons in Time, but none of the 3D ones. So I'm kind of going into it with like fresh eyes, without that nostalgia, like goggles or anything like that some people may have. Game's pretty good though. I'm enjoying my time with it so far. It's there's no direction to the game at all. Like, they give you a quest marker. Like, you start off on this huge plateau called the Great Plateau, and you do 4 different tasks there. And from there, and this is different than any other Zelda game, they give you all the tools to beat the game on that plateau. So realistically, well, not realistically maybe, but once you get off the plateau, you could go fight Ganon and beat the game right away. Is how the developers kind of made it and all that stuff. You don't have to go to like this temple to unlock this tool, to then go to this path to beat this temple to get this tool and stuff like that to beat the final boss. They give you everything you need to to beat the game, to go anywhere in the game, right within the first 5 hours. So that's something they haven't done before. I know that for sure. So I don't know. It's interesting so far. You can climb anything. You can go anywhere. I have about 15 hours in that game, and I haven't really touched the main quest at all. I've just been exploring. It does not run the greatest.
I was gonna say, how's performance on the Wii U?
Does not run the greatest. So the only difference between the Wii U and the Switch versions is Wii U runs at 720p and the Switch runs at 900p. Performance is exactly the same on both, though.
Okay.
The only way you can get improved frame rate on the Switch is if you use the handheld version, where it's using the Switch hardware, but it's running at 720p. So it will run at a steady 30 frames on there, but both will see frame drops in cities. Both will see some frame drops if there's a lot of like fire effects and stuff going on as well. So that's my biggest gripe with it, is that it does have those frame drops, but the combat isn't one where it's like you have to be pixel perfect to hit shit either. So It hasn't got me killed yet. So until then, I won't be too mad at it. But I feel like for as long as they worked on the game, it shouldn't be dropping frames. So
gotcha. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Well, that was good, man. That's a good rundown on 2 games that I know people are, well, 4 games total, but 2 games that people are seriously either interested in, or like for Horizon Zero Dawn. It's good to hear a breakdown.
Yeah, if you
think it's so good.
If you own a PS4, buy it.
Yeah, I do. So I definitely need to get it.
I
was playing to anyway.
Witcher 3, right?
Yes, I love. Yeah, I'm still playing through it, but I love.
You'll enjoy this game for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. All right, and I'll go real quick. The only thing that I really added to my game diet this week was I, for some unknown reason, agreed with some of the buddies I play games with that I would try H1Z1 in 5s.
King of the Kill.
Yeah, King of the Kill. And, I like to talk shit a lot on H1Z1 and those kind of survival kind of like, it looks super buggy and very frustrating and whatever, and I know it is. And I experienced some of that just trying to get the game to run the day 2 that I tried with it. But I will say, even though I'm still like, I only have a few hours in the game, I don't really know all that much of what I'm doing. I guess I've come over to the side of understanding why those kind of games are popular and like the adrenaline rush, if I can speak properly, that you get when, you're like, I've only been playing 5s, but when your crew is like mowing people down, like you're getting shot at, when, the opportunity to win a game's there, I definitely kind of get why the genre is really popular. And I'm not going to lie, I've been bit a little bit by the bug. I haven't played any this weekend off stream or anything, but I'm thinking about I was like, well, should I play solos to like get a better feel for the map and like the mechanics? And they were like, well, if you play solos, you're probably going to get camped a lot. But yeah. So anyway, I'm doing all the things that happen in my mind when I want to get better at something, which scares me because I also know the frustration that lies at the end of H1Z1 for a lot of people. But just, I already play frustrating games like Counter-Strike. So like for me, it's really not that big of a deal. I don't know why. I don't know what's another frustrating shooter. Like it doesn't, like a Counter-Strike might not be as broken as H1 is sometimes, but I get just as mad about it. So no, it was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed my time. I've only gotten a few kills total throughout the couple games I played, but we did get a couple wins getting carried by some veterans. So yeah, so I enjoyed it. So I definitely look forward to, and I do want to try also playing a little bit of Arma, which I talked about a couple weeks ago. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that you were playing that.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. So
how's it run for you?
I don't have Battlegrounds. I don't actually have Battlegrounds.
Or Arma.
Oh, Arma, you're talking about. Arma,
Yeah.
It actually runs pretty well for me.
Okay.
I've been getting, I've had no issues. I actually kind of just launched it with default settings and didn't change anything. And frame-wise, I'm getting, I forget what it was. Like it was steady. I don't have my frame counter on, but like at no point was I like, oh, I'm tanking performance. So
okay,
it feels pretty good. I don't know exact numbers, but so yeah. So anyway, we'll see. See if I get truly bit by the H1Z1.
We should play some H1Z1 sometime because I.
Do you play it? Do you?
Well, I wouldn't say I play it because I'm actually kind of at the same spot you are, where I've played a few hours of it, and so I've played, but I've only played solo and then a few duos with Brad.
Okay.
So I'm still very new, and I've only gotten to the slight experience of the frustration that I think is possible to have within that game.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I think it seems like a game that is definitely, I think probably at its most fun at the like duos, duos,
in the group.
Trios.
Yeah,
like in that group setting.
It is very fun in a group.
Because then, just when you're solo queuing, I feel like those frustrating moments, those are amplified. Where at least if you're with a friend, you're hopefully having a little bit more fun, not taking it quite as seriously.
Point exactly here. I tried to play H1Z1 King of the Kill after I think this past year's TwitchCon tournament, whatever.
Yeah.
I loaded it up, installed it, full well knowing some of the game was broken. Got in the game, got a shotgun, put 3 blasts in the guy. Didn't kill him. He killed me. I instantly uninstalled. I have 24 minutes in the game. So
there you go.
That's my experience. And
No, totally.
I just knowing it was broken and the fact that it hit me the very first map.
Yeah, you
really,
kind of got like one of the worst case outcomes right
really
away
just
that quickly.
pushed
Yeah,
me over the
that'll
edge.
turn you off. Yeah,
one
totally.
other game I played has been Hitman. I started that last week on Rough Tims.
Mm.
The newest one.
Nice.
I like it a lot.
Brandon loves Hitman. He's been singing its praises.
Actually, I was gonna play through a little more Hitman recently, and speaking of frustration, I loaded it up. And I was like, I loaded up one of the maps I hadn't played yet. And I was about to get into it. 30 seconds in, it crashes. And I decided I was like, you know what? Nope, not gonna play. So I was just in a mood where
to make it work.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
there should be nothing wrong with my setup, but the one time I streamed Hitman a little while back, like it was crashing multiple times in that stream. So I don't know what is going on with that game, but like that's the only thing that I don't like is that occasionally it will crash. And it crashes in like a weird way where the game freezes, but it doesn't hard lock your PC. So you just have to like quit out of the game. And that's obviously frustrating on a stream or anything. But yeah, I haven't gone back to it mainly just for that reason. I was like, I probably would have persevered if it hadn't crashed until like 15 or 20 minutes in. But because it happened right at the start of the game, I was like, nope, we're not doing this.
Speaking of crashes, at one point I don't know what was happening, but I was trying to play with the group and with Sham, I'll Sham Noel, and I had a situation where the game like kept crashing and I basically was on stream on my desktop trying to get the game to run for an hour before I was able to get in. And I don't know I forget what ended up fixing it. I think I ended up verifying game files or something, and then it fixed it. But yeah, so anyway, I hope I don't get too many more of those situations, but it's kind of one of those things that I'm very much learning that you just have to, you accept the brokenness, and it still frustrates you, but it's just part of the whole experience. Just like in fives, when you die in H1Z1, there's no spectator client. So if you die early, you might as well just fuck off, because you can't, it just stays with a camera wherever you died. So
yeah, well, like in duos, it's like
apparently they're looking into, but
in duos, it's like if one person dies, you basically just have the other person quit out.
Yeah, because there's no point. So, little things like that, but I'm sure I will learn more.
Still needs some polish, but I think that's one of the reasons that genre keeps getting new games, like the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I'm sure that there will be other survival games that come up, because I think like DayZ and then H1Z1 have showed the potential of what a game, like the possibilities of a really good game in that genre. But I don't know that anyone yet has brought a polished experience.
No,
like it's just I guess maybe kind of coincidence that both DayZ and H1Z1 have reputations for just being like pretty broken.
Right.
But that's why I think there's still that possibility that someone makes a polished survival experience, and they could take the whole market, right? If it's like a really good polished something where you're not constantly dying to stuff that feels weird or feels buggy.
I imagine that like if it was that easy, like part of my brain goes, if it was that easy, they would have figured it out by now. But again, like, there's a lot of factors. It could. I mean, I'm sure it's also the scale. Obviously, like doing a game that has like 175 or whatever it is people.
Yeah.
It's
definitely not an easy thing to solve. Which because like you were saying, I think if it was easy, they would have solved it already. It's not like they leave the game broken because they want to. But I do think that there will be new games coming along trying to replicate that formula because they think they can do it better. Who knows? Maybe they can.
It's the new survival zombie game. Is really what it is.
Yeah,
it's how I see it.
You're saying with like the
battleground type stuff. Yeah,
totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, there you go. We're gonna move on real quick, but let's talk about what's going on in KBMOD with this. Well, Tim, you can take this one away because I know you worked on this preview video that you made, or first look.
So it was a slower week for us here in KBMOD.
Yes,
but we did post out a first look for a game called Merc. I actually did the whole article and video for it, but it's kind of like a real-time XCOM type game. So I linked it in the chat. It's
watch the video
for it, so you can see the gameplay of it and all that stuff. So it's promising. It's got some promises to it. It's in early access right now. You can buy into it if you want, but it's got a good concept to it. I'm excited to see where they take the development for it. So definitely check out the video to see the gameplay in action and all that stuff, because obviously words don't really sell it as more as the video does. So
yep. There you go. KBMOD.com. Check out the first look that Tim did. Like you said, XCOM style game, right? In that same vein.
XCOM style game. This week I'll have a review for Desync Up, and then Andrew will have a review for a game called Too Dark Up, either this week or next week, once we get the code. So
sweet. All right, let's jump into the news here real quick. And obviously, you guys will know the Switch. A lot of people ordered a Switch online in hopes of getting their console delivered to them, day one, as soon as they could. And there's been some, I guess the way that Polygon describes this as a ball drop on the delivery, at least with Amazon, and not just Amazon. I think other retailers also not getting consoles to people the day that it says that they're ready. But I mean, there's probably a few things you can do to get people, or a few things that make people more upset than if it says like something's coming a certain day. I know for me, like I'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, I ordered this part, and it's like it's out for delivery at 8 a.m. Okay, I'm just gonna sit here and wait. And but I haven't done that with something for a while, but much less like a console. And so there was definitely some pretty big shipping issues, and this article just kind of details Amazon saying that there was a guaranteed release date delivery back in January, but basically when the Switch hit shelves this week, a lot of people didn't receive their order. And so there's a lot of emails and angry tweets and stuff going back and forth. And this kind of details like the customer support was kind of like, it was hard to get a straight answer of exactly why it was. Some of it was supply. One of the customer service representatives said, like, we literally don't have them and we just got them today. So it'll take a little bit longer. So I wanted to get your guys' take on this, because for something like this, do you ever rely on just like online shipping? Because I mean, it can be, usually it's okay, but a lot of people are just going to go to a brick and mortar store, even if it means they have to wait out or camp out. Or
I stay away from it now. I pre-ordered one game off Amazon once, hoping it, like, I heard stories of like, you get it the day before or something like that.
Right.
I didn't get it till like 3 days after it released. Right. So ever since then, I've stayed away from just pre-ordering anything online. If it's like a game or like in this case, if it would be like hardware, like a hardware console and all that stuff, I just stay away from it. If all the games I want, I'll just go to the store and pick it up on release day. I don't even pre-order anymore for the most part. I'll just go to, because GameStop, the devil, that most people hates. I won't even go there for the most part. I'll go to Walmart or Target and just pick up a game on release day.
Unless GameStop would like to sponsor this podcast, in that case, you are angelic, and we will delete this VOD. So don't worry about it. But okay, yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same. I mean, I've lost. I don't have the spark for gaming like I used to. So I don't think I rarely pre-order, and especially when it comes to console, most of the time it's on Steam, so I'll just buy it day of, or I'll pre-order if I want something like a bonus. But if I really want, I'll go to the store, or I'll just wait. So I guess this doesn't really affect me. But
yeah,
I mean, part of me wants to go like, what do you guys expect? I'm not saying that it means that like you can't be frustrated if it says it's going to be delivered day of. But I kind of what you're saying, Tim, like to me it's a little, I mean, there's so many variables within that. Like it's a high risk, and I think you would probably, like most people would be like, it's nice if it arrives day of, and if it guarantees it, obviously that's kind of a language thing that you can take issue with. But part of me goes like, why would you risk that? Or set up your expectation like everything's going to go perfectly, because I've been burned by that, especially with like Christmas gifts and stuff like that online. I won't get into these stories, but where you're like, well, this really needs to get there before Christmas, but if those are taking some serious risks. So
I haven't really bought I haven't bought anything in recent memory that has had like that has sold out, or where I've pre-ordered something and I'm really expecting it to come on a specific day.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know whose fault it is, because Nintendo kind of has this reputation for having supply problems at launch. Like they had the NES, Classic Edition that was completely out of stock in all these places, even though it was a pretty simple device. And this is not the hardware they have in the Switch is not like crazy cutting edge stuff. So it's tough to know if it's like an Amazon thing, if it's the shipping companies, if it's Nintendo, and generally, I don't think they usually won't finger point, right? Like Amazon probably wouldn't be like, look, it's not being delivered because Nintendo didn't send them to us. They'll usually just like, they just won't tell you why, because they just take the blame for it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it says at the end of this Polygon article, he got an email saying that they don't know. I just sent another email from customer service, both apologizing and reiterating that they can't tell me why they messed up.
Right.
So it's just like they don't want to take onus, but they don't want to blame anyone else either.
I think generally, it just depends on the effort that you want to put in to guarantee that you get something on that day. Like with online pre-orders, you're always going to run that risk that maybe you do get it like a day or two late. And for some people, if let's say you're an unboxing channel or a first impressions channel or something like that, literally that's your job, then maybe you want to have backup plans in place and go to brick and mortar retailers. But for everyone else, it's like just plan if you can afford to wait a day or two. Usually online pre-ordering is going to be way smoother and easier, and occasionally it's probably going to come a little late. But I think you just have to have that expectation with anything you order online, because there are so many moving pieces involved that, like, even if Amazon or Newegg or whoever tells you it's going to come on a certain date, they're working with different vendors, and it's not necessarily going to be up to them if something ends up delayed.
Yep.
This time of year as well, you never know where the shipments are coming from. Weather could be a huge factor. At least living in Pennsylvania and stuff.
Yep.
Like, I've had stuff delayed because the truck has crashed in Tennessee because of a snowstorm, and it's just like, well, that sucks. Good thing I wasn't really counting on that. Like, that type of stuff I don't count on. But if I truly actually need something, I will try and find it somewhere physical first.
You never know when there might be inclement weather in various areas of the country, and like that could slow down the whole supply chain. And I think a lot of people ignore the fact that like this stuff is actually either on planes or trucks or something, and is affected by weather just the way that everyone else is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need more drones. So many drones. I mean, I guess they would be affected by weather too. So weather doesn't change. We need weatherproof drones that will deliver no matter even if there's a nuclear holocaust going on outside. You can still get your Amazon, Newegg, whatever it is, Walmart order directly to your house or to your bomb shelter, wherever you are. If you're still ordering, but
you have your package slot in your bomb shelter.
Exactly. No excuses. All right, and we're going to move on here to another piece of news, kind of related. Not necessarily related to Amazon, but an offshoot. Twitch, the site that we are broadcasting on now. Announced.
How clean?
Yes, you like that? Very clean, so smooth. Twitch is going to be allowing broadcasters to get a cut. Let me back up. Okay, so it was smooth and I just fucked it up. Twitch is going to start selling games. Okay, so that's the main news, is that Twitch will be selling games, and it's going to be giving streamers a cut of the profits if the game is purchased on their page. So two pieces of news that are pretty big, and I think a lot of people kind of welcome. I mean, I as a streamer that makes my living from Twitch, I welcome anything that can generate more revenue. Obviously, that makes sense. That isn't ham-fisted. Not that there have been too many ham-fisted things. Most things integrate pretty well, but I think this is a kind of a natural evolution. And I don't know. So in this article, Brandon, there's a mock-up of this is a Verge article of what it will kind of look like, where it says "buy now" underneath of the video here, which looks pretty. Is that like direct? Is that like somebody? Is that a screenshot from Twitch, or is that somebody just mocking up what they think it is?
No, I think that's like an official mock-up. I don't.
Okay,
I can't guarantee that's like the actually what it looked like, but I'm pretty sure that mock-up is like from Twitch.
Exactly. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. And then also, so beyond the fact that like you're supporting the streamer and they're getting a cut of the profits. For the sale, there's also like Twitch exclusives and other things in there to kind of incentivize buying it on Twitch, whether that be skins or whatever else. And I think it's pretty good. I mean, I think part of the one thing in the article they talk about is this being a challenge to Steam and other kind of gaming marketplaces. And for me, I'm kind of the mind that anything that mixes up that market and gives more options for how to buy games and stuff like that, I'm kind of for. Not that I don't love Gabe and Steam and everything, but like I use Origin, I use Uplay. Fuck me, but I will. I'll use Uplay.
It's the same with like AMD versus Intel. Like,
yeah,
competition's good. It forces the one that's on top to still innovate and try and stay on top. So
yeah, and I think in the sense of like allowing, like making it integrated for because like if you're a broadcaster or you're somebody that streams on Twitch or either way, like you have an audience and like you do have a realm of influence. So if they see you playing a game and like, let's say, I don't know, who knows what the bonuses are depending on what the different publishers, there's already a lot of publishers that or game companies that are signed on here. So, but I think it just makes sense to me. Like the news was kind of like, it wasn't shocking. It was more like, oh, that's cool. And, that really does show Twitch's commitment to allowing people to do this for a living to kind of earn more revenue and find ways that it can make sense to expand that kind of stuff.
I think it'll be pretty. I think it'll be pretty neat because it'll provide, like you were talking about, an additional sort of passive income stream for broadcasters, exactly. Which is always good. But also, I think the Twitch crates, which will be like sort of random things that you get when you purchase a game through Twitch. I think those will be really neat because those are, I mean, I don't even know what they'll be, but the examples from the article are like random selection of emotes, badges, bits. So think about, like you don't know what you're going to get, but it's going to be something cool that has an effect on
It's
Twitch.
more crack fucking cocaine. It's
do I have to buy keys over these crates? Or are they just going to come unlocked?
Well, no, you get them with if you purchase the game.
You get them with the game purchase. Can I just buy crates?
I don't know. I mean, that's possible. I don't know.
They're not upgraded.
But it's I'm not sure what like I'm not sure what the crates like. I don't have a good example of what will be in them aside from just like knowing the possibilities that they could have. But I think it'll be cool because, like you're saying, it's not. It's not really competing against Steam because like we could never do that sort of stuff with Steam. So I think hopefully it'll go really well. I think hopefully it will be welcome to a lot of broadcasters that are already sort of implicitly promoting a lot of these games they play. Sure. And this is just one more way for their audience to kind of passively support them and then also get cool stuff that they can use on Twitch. So like you're saying, kind of long time coming. I think it'll be really neat.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how once it launches. It doesn't say in the article when it's going to go live or whatever.
It says spring, so
it said spring. Okay,
come pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, spring 2017.
Okay, yeah, we'll see. I think I'm going to definitely look forward to that when it comes out, when that feature comes out. So, all right, and all I'm going to say about this next section of articles we're going to talk about is he is Ryzen. He's Ryzen.
God damn it.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I had to. No, so the AMD Ryzen reviews are out. Ars Technica, Antec. Like what? I mean, I looked over them, and they didn't have exactly the same takeaway. Overall, I think the articles were pretty similar, but you guys want to highlight some of the things from them? I mean, I just basically jump when I read these kind of articles. I just go, at least on ours.
The graphics.
I just go, well, I look at graphics and then I go to the end with like the pros and they kind of do a good breakdown. Of like,
I think it's
the good, the bad, the ugly. Excuse me, is how they break it down, and I think that's helpful. But
I think this is the takeaway for me reading through some of the benchmarks is that this is definitely the most credible Intel competitor for desktop CPUs that we've seen. I mean, basically since Sandy Bridge hit the market. Like since Sandy Bridge, Intel has basically owned desktop computing, and Ryzen is not perfect, and unfortunately, kind of the one place that it stumbles is gaming performance. And in some ways, it seems almost like confusingly bad performance in games, because like in some of the synthetic benchmarks that they run, Ryzen performs really well, but then for some reason in games, like it performs almost inexplicably poorly by comparison. But it's possible that some of that has to do with like drivers. I think AMD came out and said that like that basically like they need to work with game developers and stuff, and I don't know how much of that is true, how much of that is them just trying to cover. But regardless, the takeaway is Ryzen seems to work really well on multi-threaded workloads, which has sort of always been what AMD has tried to go after, is kind of the multi-threaded workloads. And they've never been the king of or haven't for a long time been the king of single-threaded workloads. That's been Intel's bread and butter for a long time. But Ryzen does perform favorably against some of the super expensive Intel CPUs, like the $1,000+ CPUs, for half the price. So I think this is definitely going to put pressure on Intel, because it's not perfect, but also like they're definitely it's definitely like you potentially start putting AMD CPUs in PCs now, whereas before I think AMD was just like basically an afterthought at this point.
And the other thing I'm seeing too, I was reading some comments in some of the articles, was that didn't get really a ton of press, but Intel dropped their prices on some of their more expensive CPUs. To kind of try to undercut this announcement a little bit more and look better on the performance benchmarks. So when they're doing the graphs, they're like price. If they cut their prices before the benchmarks happen, it's gonna look a little bit. So, and I mean that's pretty disruptive, clearly. And obviously, Intel is like trying to. I'm not saying that like this is like this means AMD is gonna rise to the top, but it's nice to see, like you're saying, the competition and.
Well, now
this is actually really viable in some builds.
It really does. It really does kind of depend on. It's more nuanced. The choice is more nuanced than it has been for a while, because depending on what you typically use your PC for, Ryzen is like clearly the choice. If you have like highly multi-threaded workloads, some of the things that it does really well, like you should just go ahead and buy a Ryzen chip. For gaming, it's not that clear cut yet, so I think the jury's still out. Intel seems to still be the winner there, but also like Ryzen is much better than it's been before, like much better than AMD's been before. So I'm excited that we finally have a reason to like talk about AMD, that they finally delivered in a way that they haven't for a while. And we'll see what Intel does. I mean, I think Intel has new chips that are relatively close. Who knows, if Intel has something in their back pocket that they just have been sitting on because they can profit in the meantime, who knows? I'm curious to see what Intel's response will be, and then what AMD's response to that will be. Like, I think we finally have two credible competitors again, where for a while AMD just was not. I mean, we I don't know how many build guides we've done, probably years now, where literally we don't have a single AMD chip in any of the builds.
That's true. I didn't even think about the build guides and the fact that there's never an AMD.
Yeah.
So I think it's still, Intel still seems to own the very top end, but again, their processors are quite expensive at the top end. So I think Ryzen is filling in that middle ground pretty nicely, and we'll see how things shake out with gaming performance, because in a couple of these. In a couple of these reviews, it was like surprising how badly Ryzen performed in gaming, and then how well it performed in all the other benchmarks. So I mean, we'll just have to see what happens there. But I'm glad it's finally out. I'm glad that that you now have a choice again, and you now will have to actually do a little bit of research before you buy a PC. Because for a while, frankly, it was like a lot easier than it had been in the past. It was like your CPU is basically chosen for you, like how much money do you have to spend, and then this is the Intel CPU that you buy. Now you have to think a little bit more, and there's a lot more choice, which is a good thing for consumers. So exciting times.
Very cool. All right, and then continuing in hardware news, NVIDIA has dropped the price of their 1080 to $499.
The other AMD competitor.
The other AMD, yes. And the 1080 Ti has been announced at $699. So 700 is supposed to be faster than a Titan. So yeah, definitely they're trading trading blows here.
Well, it's so the GeForce 1080 Ti is their $700, which is lower than their previous cards of that nature. Like the Titan X was like over $1,000 at launch, and I think has basically stayed there. The fact that the 1080 Ti is $700 is apparently up to 35% more performance than a 1080, which is ludicrous.
Yeah,
and it draws 30 watts less power than a Titan X.
Doesn't seem possible, but
they've done it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is Chris Angel back there doing some of the mind freight stuff in the in the manufacturing of these things, dude? Because
I don't know,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of speaking of AMD competitors, Nvidia definitely keeping their foot on the pedal in a way that I think Intel has not been. Like Nvidia is still going pretty hard, and AMD is falling behind when it comes to video cards. So they've they may have caught up on CPUs, but when it comes to video cards, I mean Nvidia is pretty much still the king, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. It's good though. It's good that we're having these conversations, and hopefully, I have this pipe dream of maybe even when it comes to the CPU market, maybe we'll have a third contender. My dad has been working on some stuff in his basement, and we're about ready to bring our CPU to market. So watch out for
you have a chip fab there in your garage?
We do. I've got a chip fab going on, and
your dad had a few extra billion laying around. Thought why not fabricate a CPU?
Yeah, we're actually and for us, where the CPU, it stands for Christian Processing Unit, and
I see. Okay,
it's actually powered. It's actually powered by Jesus Love and
powered by Jesus Christ.
Yes. That's a very, very different manufacturing process.
Very different, exactly. But we figured we'll corner the evangelical market with those chips, and but it is good now. And all jokes aside, it's good to see AMD and AMD and Nvidia dropping prices, and AMD dropping something competent, actually, is what I really should say when it comes to CPUs. So, all right, we're going to jump into the quick hits here real quick. And so Tim Sweeney of Unreal Engine fame, excuse me. He has made some comments in the past about his thoughts on Microsoft's UWP and the fact that he thinks that it's a terrible move and something that he doesn't, want to become kind of like this closed marketplace. And he's still talking about it. And he actually, the one thing that he did do is he compared UWP, the UWP tech and stuff, to looking for a game on iOS, and which is, I think, is a pretty strong statement about, basically if you're looking for a game on iOS, you get all these advertisements for games you're not searching for and all that kind of stuff. And he's not saying that that's where the UWP tech and stuff is right now, but that's kind of what he's scared of happening on the Windows platform. And, what were your guys' thoughts reading some of his comments on this? Because he hasn't been silent in the past, and they kind of obviously there was a lot of stuff going on this week, so he kind of re-upped on his thoughts.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the Microsoft Store. Don't get me wrong, but why are you still
why?
Right now?
We've been asking why with Microsoft. You haven't been on all the casts where we just asked why with Microsoft when it comes to the gaming side. But no, you're right, Tim.
Why with Microsoft, and why is he still just obviously who's listening to him?
Well, no, I think I added this article in because he expounded upon some of his initial points a little more, which I think are interesting, because you were what you mentioned about kind of the comparison to iOS and the fact that you get advertisements for games you're not searching for, and he sort of harkens back to selling. He's basically been selling directly to consumers for his whole career. Back when they were mailing out floppy disks, and then they've always
talk about that.
the internet and games have always had the power to reach their audiences directly, even back to when they were mailing out floppy disks, mailing out CDs. And so I think he's got a valid concern that I think a lot of people probably share, that there's a risk if Microsoft wants to to point everything to the Microsoft Store. They're already having to work with, you already have to work with platforms that take 30% of your revenue on mobile, right, between Android and iOS. If you want to publish your game on Steam, they take a cut. But there's still, like, if you want to put out a game or a program on Win32 or Linux, like, you can just do it. You can put out something, you can charge for it, you can run your own payments, and that's fine. Like, if you have the power to sell directly, you can. And I think that's that is worrisome when you think about there are fewer and fewer, like, there are more gatekeepers now. And Microsoft is one that basically they have the power to turn themselves into a single gatekeeper on the Windows platform if they so choose. And I think the really good point he makes, which I thought, I'll just read the quote here. He says, modding is one issue, being able to load code by modders into your process and have that become part of the game experience. It's a fairly complex ecosystem. So he's talking about, like, how do you allow modding if you want to try and build this, like, more secure thing? Like, by design, mods are, they're modifying this program you've made. And he says, and also the ability to run tools. The Unreal Editor, Photoshop, Microsoft Visual Studio, or even Microsoft Word, none of those apps run on UWP. He says, Microsoft Word doesn't run on UWP. Like, they don't even have Microsoft Word in the Windows Store because the store and the UWP foundations are not capable of supporting that level of app. And he goes on to say, it's worked well for smaller apps like a Twitter client or Dropbox visual client or whatever, like, basically sort of mobile app levels of capability. It's fine for that. But these apps are not, like, desktop class programs capable of doing real work. And I don't peruse the Windows Store often, so I didn't even realize that if they don't even have Microsoft Office in the Windows Store, then, like, that's game over, because it goes to show that it's not, like, it's neutered. You have Unreal Editor, Photoshop, Microsoft Visual Studio, Microsoft Word. These are programs that, like, professionals rely on to create amazing things. And that is, like, you don't want to get rid of that openness, because then you're going to strangle out programs like that are literally what drives creative industries forward.
Yeah, no, well said. And like you said, he definitely expands upon his points. So check out that PC Gamer article if you want to see a little bit more in detail. We'll link that in the post for the podcast. All right, let's move on here to talk a little bit about the Oculus and the fact that they have cut $100 off the prices of the Rift and Touch controllers. And so now you can get the bundle, which was $700, the Rift plus Touch bundle, which was $798 for $598. And if you already have a Rift, the Touch is only $99, and then you can buy a sensor for $59. So they are starting to lower their prices again. This bundle is still, how is still $300 more expensive than I'm willing to pay? I don't know what I'm willing to pay for VR. I guess I don't really have. It's not a priority for me, and I don't really. So that's probably part of it. But even $600, I guess, is a little bit more reasonable. That's still a pretty pricey.
Still a lot of money.
That's still a lot of money. But what do you guys think
about the prices coming down? Yeah, it's good to see the prices coming down. For more, how do I put it? For more consumers to get their hands on it, because right now it's still a really niche thing, but there are more and more games coming out for VR as well. Like when I look at my media inbox every day, it's about 3 VR games to 1 non-VR game. It feels like. So there are games being developed for it. There are games that are, coming out for VR stuff. So, which is good. That was my biggest hitch on when it first came out, that there was basically nothing to do with these VR systems. There was maybe like 1 or 2 games, but it's good to see more and more stuff being developed for them, and the prices of them actually, like the actual system, coming down. So I don't know what I'm willing to pay for one either, but I'd say over the next 1 or 2 years, I'll probably get my hands on one, and there'll be plenty of games to play on it, plenty of things to do on it or whatever. So it'll be interesting.
Well, this shows me that they clearly have room to bring the price down, like as they continue refining, the manufacturing process and whatever.
True.
I mean, dropping it, frankly, I would probably be really upset if I just bought a Rift like a month ago.
And then
because they just dropped the price like $200 if you had bought the Rift plus the Touch. Yeah. So I mean, but I think it is a good thing that they are acknowledging that this is one of the barriers to entry. Like $798, that is the price of 2 consoles or like a pretty nice PC. I mean, it's just so clearly out of reach for so many consumers. And I'm kind of like you, Scott. I don't know what I'm willing to pay, but it's definitely like it's getting closer to what I'd be willing to pay as someone who's really into who's into gaming, into technology. I can't justify $800 for something that it's like maybe I use it every now and then. But it's slowly getting there. I think I think it still needs to probably drop to $400, $400 or $500, something like, I don't know, under $500 I'd consider it. But it's getting it's getting closer and closer. I think the thing that still, I guess it's weird to say, but the thing that still keeps me away from it is I think that they would still bring it down further. Like I can still wait, and I wouldn't be surprised if next year at this time they drop it another $100 or $200 with better hardware. Like I think that there's still some room for them to drop it, and it's not quite there. But I mean, dropping it $200 is significant. And I'm sure this is definitely
it's a good sign.
Yeah, it's definitely going to put more Rifts in the hands of people who might have been on the fence before. Like dropping $200 off the price is definitely going to entice a whole lot of people. And I think I feel like maybe they're just starting to come close to becoming a little more mass market than they were before.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is a little bit of a topic change, going from hardware to Bolivia, and I don't know how to segue that. I probably should have thought about that, but Bolivia has filed a formal complaint.
You want to do VR on cocaine?
Yeah, there you go. That would have been good.
They're probably not selling very many Oculuses in Bolivia.
No, probably not. But Bolivia has filed a formal complaint with France over Ghost Recon Wildlands, and basically their issue is obviously the Ghost Recon Wildlands is that third-person shooter, fictionalized near future version of a country that's fallen under the control of a drug cartel. Basically, Bolivia called the French government to intervene, which no one's sure what that means, for the French government to deal with the fact that this game is being released in a couple weeks and paints Bolivia in this light. This was a quote from the Bolivian Interior Minister, Carlos Romero, who said, "We have the standing to take legal action, but at first we prefer to go the route of diplomatic negotiation." So I don't know
what is
they
the
would
legal
work.
action you would take.
I don't know. Like it's clearly,
it's a work of fiction.
It's a work of fiction, and I don't know what diplomatic action are they going to come to with Ubisoft about we reserve the right to get a percentage of the game sales for the way that you painted.
Well, see, that would be truly perverse, because it's like they're just trying to see if they can get a slice of this game that they think paints their country in a bad light. I mean, it seems like maybe they would try and stop sales of the game or something, but it just seems so ridiculous that.
Yeah, just in the sense that there's works of fiction all in all kinds of it doesn't mean I guess I understand the rap that Bolivia gets but do they have a legal ground to stand on? I mean, Ubisoft's not dumb. They have this is a work of fiction, somewhere in the legal jargon.
I want to meet the lawyer that takes that case.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
That would be.
Why would you take this?
Yeah, and so they released a statement just saying this is a work of fiction similar to movie or TV show. And basically they just cover all their bases.
It's like this. I mean, this happens all the time, like television series and movies and stuff. I mean, that's literally what fiction means. It's like you're taking inspiration from something that might have happened or an event, and you're turning it into a work of fiction that's not. It's like based on reality, but it's not reality.
I really do like though that they threw that the PR people at Ubisoft threw them a bone a bit and said that but it's all fiction and created fantasies created solely for entertainment purposes. And then they go, Bolivia was chosen as the background of this game based on its magnificent landscapes and rich culture. While the game's premise imagines a different reality, the one that exists in Bolivia today, we do hope that the in-game world comes close to representing the country's beautiful topography and that players enjoy exploring the diverse and open landscape it moved us to create. So they basically
that's a solid PR statement, I gotta say.
They took Bolivia's cock and their member and they put it in their mouths, and they are just they're all over. I mean, they didn't have to do that. They could have been a little more snarky. They could have basically ended it with, this is a work of fiction, and that's you know what I mean, and that's it. But they, like you said, Brandon, they definitely went out of their way.
Oh yeah, that's beautifully wordsmithed
to put it in there. So. It's pretty.
When they say that while the game's premise imagines a different reality than the one that exists in Bolivia today, it's like it's just so crisp.
It is. That whatever PR rep wrote that, and then they finally settled on that when they were like, they rested after that. They didn't come to work for a day.
Oh yeah, he lights up a cigarette after that one.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it's pretty funny, but just kind of a funny little side story. So. All right.
Speaking of Ghost Recon Wildlands.
What a segue.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
New releases.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands comes out on March 7th. That is in 2 days from when we record this cast. And so, if you want to support the storytellers who are clearly working on a work of fiction.
Yes,
that is a AAA $60 title. As I do with all of these games, I will say that it looks like their Steam page does not really contain any in-game footage. This appears to be in-engine footage.
Very much.
But I am not seeing a HUD or any other elements that show me what the game actually looks like when you play it.
Let me tell you, Brandon, I've played it, and some of these screenshots are very generous. Very generous. I mean, I know it's not necessarily representative of the final product, and, depending on what settings you're running on, but I would argue that these screenshots on the Steam page have been, taken in a isolated environment to really make the game look incredible. So
you mean the game is perhaps not quite as cinematic and diverse as these screenshots would lead you to believe?
Pretty crazy to think that, but yeah,
wow,
definitely not.
Would not have expected that from a $60 title, let alone from the fine folks at Ubisoft. But that's why we're here. You got to make your own choices. You can. There is a pre-purchase offer. If you pre-order, you get a bonus mission to explore the high mountains of Bolivia. Remember that topography.
The beautiful topography.
The high mountains of Bolivia to break the alliance between Santa Blanca and the Peruvian cartels, which again is a work of fiction. That is not that is not the state of Bolivia.
Did you know that there actually are no drug cartels in Bolivia at all?
Guys, did we get paid to sell Ghost Recon this hard?
I don't. You know what? This PR statement, we're not, Tim, but this PR statement was so beautiful that I feel like
the PR statement cleared up everything for me. So I'm just making sure that the listeners are aware of all of these fine points that the folks at Ubisoft made sure to let us know.
See, the real question isn't whether or not everybody will be buying this game or pre-ordering it. It's did you pre-order or buy the $60 version, the $70 version, or of course the $100 gold edition?
Fuck?
So that's the real
is there
question.
is there a reason? Was there a point at which games started calling their season pass edition like a gold edition or some enhanced edition or something? Like, why don't they just say plus the game plus season pass? Because that's what it is. But it sounds so stupid. You have to go and read the description of what gold edition is.
Yep. No, exactly. No, there was like I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't know when it started happening, but yeah, that's like the go-to now. I mean, I think it's also very much a Ubisoft, like all the Ubisoft games basically break it down like that. They all kind of follow that format.
Yeah.
But
well, anyway, that does come out, like we said, March 7th. So just a couple days. And you will get to experience a fictionalized Bolivia.
Yes.
Just as Ubisoft intended. Next up, we have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 comes out March 6th. That would be tomorrow.
Finally coming to PC.
Yeah, I think it's just coming to PC. I didn't realize it wasn't on PC, but I don't pay that much attention. Because I feel like the fighting game community doesn't really play on PC that much.
You'd be surprised. They're making the switch.
Are
They're making the
happening?
switch. Yeah,
Really?
it's either PS4 or PC now. Is the choice?
Yeah. It didn't seem like it swung to PS4, but I didn't realize that Marvel vs. Capcom was not on PC.
Yeah, with the announcement of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is the game coming out later this year, Capcom announced that UMVC 3 was coming to PS4, which has already came out on there a few months ago. That was coming out on PC in March. So Capcom themselves were even trying to get like all their games to PC. So for the fighting games, so like Street Fighter 5 is on here. Obviously, Ultra Street Fighter 4 was on here. So they're bringing, I think they have all their current games, fighting games on here now, at least modern ones. And from here on out, they're going to release simultaneously on the PC as well. Take that at face value, though. They don't really release, Street Fighter 5 had a patchy, very not good release at all.
Yeah, I remember.
So that will be my worry. Is I feel like they're definitely gonna. I would think they would definitely support console games as kind of the tier 1 platform for fighting.
Well, it
games.
wasn't good on PS4 either.
Well, that's true. Sometimes it's not good on either. But I'm imagining I'm guessing if you want to buy Marvel vs. Capcom on PC, because if you're a Marvel fan, you probably already own it on another platform. So it's going to be $25 if you pre-order. No, as far as I can tell, no special no special gold edition.
You get everything. You get all the DLCs,
Marvel.
all the costumes unlocked.
Yeah. So $25 all in seems like a decent deal if you like Marvel. And last up, I'll let you talk about this one, Tim. You added this one in. This is a game called Too Dark. That would be the numeral 2, Too Dark. It releases on March 10th, so that is on this Friday, and it is a stealth adventure game. Tell me about it, Tim.
Yeah, so the premise of the game is you live in this town, you're playing as a guy, I don't know his actual name, I don't think it says his name, but there has been a series of child abductions in the area, and you are investigating it. So basically it's kind of like it's a adventure, like any game, you have to be like stealthy, it's got like a creepy atmosphere to it. But basically, like, your goal is to find where the children are and to rescue them. So some of the trailers like show you actually leading these kids out of these houses, but whoever is kidnapping them is kind of like skulking around the house and all that stuff. And if they see you, obviously you have to fight them off. So it's got like that suspense vibe to it.
This is awesome. I'm adding this to my wish list. This looks really
it looks cool really good. Andrew's going to be doing a review on it later on this week. It releases on Friday, so maybe we'll have it out on release day for you guys, maybe a little bit after, but it looks really good. So it's on my wish list, and I'll be picking it up probably next paycheck for sure. But if you're into the suspense games that really kind of keep you on your toes, on the edge of your seat, this seems to be like one of those types of games that will keep you there. So definitely keep an eye out for it.
And it looks like they also have screenshots that appear to be representative of the actual gameplay.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, videos of actual gameplay too. Kind of. Yeah.
Well done. I don't see a price here.
It's. Let me see if I can
do you know
find
what it's going to cost? Yeah,
I can look it up.
Sometimes they announce their price, but then they don't actually put it on Steam. But we'll see if we can get a price on that. If not, it doesn't look like it would be more than probably $30-$40.
I would say probably $20 max.
Yeah.
But let me look if I can find it.
So that releases on March 10th. So pick that up if you're interested in stealth adventures. And that brings us to the viewer questions. Scott?
It does. It does. All right. Let's jump into our first viewer question from Twitter. This is from iDwitter. And he asks us, are socks considered underwear? Just I feel like the very recesses of my mind, I feel like we have had this question before, but it might have been
we might have had a variation on this question before.
Or a variation, I feel like.
I want to say...
Because you want to say no. Initially, you want to say no.
You don't
I initially want to say yes,
you
actually.
don't think of them as underwear.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But I think that's just because when you say underwear, people automatically assume like the white underwear that
right.
That is, I think socks go under clothes. So I would say they are underwear.
Yeah, they're under your shoes, they're under your pants, perhaps. I mean, if you're wearing, now how about socks with sandals, which I'm a huge proponent of. In that case,
see, I actually I will wear socks with sandals only when I'm going outside of the house very briefly. So like the only time you'll see me in socks with sandals is when I'm already wearing socks and I need to go do something outside.
Yes.
And so like if I'm taking the trash out, absolutely valid socks with sandals time.
Okay, I can accept that. I was about to be real triggered right here. But if you're just going out to the curb and right back, then that's acceptable. I've done that.
Socks with sandals are purely used for convenience so that I don't get my socks dirty.
Okay.
I don't know if Scott has if he draws a harder line with where he will go with socks and sandals.
No, I'm pretty similar in the sense of, see, the difference though is I'm not like, I don't have that. So it's weird. Whereas like, I don't like to ride without in elevators with people. I do have no shame when it comes to however I clothe or fashion myself. So like, I have had situations where I was just too lazy. Like I had socks on and let's say that I see sandals and I'm like, whatever. I'm running somewhere very quickly, whether to get gas in my car, where there'll be limited interaction. I'm not like walking around a store or something like that.
Okay.
I'll admit I do that. I've done it.
You know what? No, I'll let you have the running to gas up my car.
Yeah.
I think that is also an acceptable scenario. Now going to get groceries, not an acceptable scenario.
Right. No, I would agree. I would draw the line if you're groceries, like
words carefully.
Yeah. No. I totally agree. But like if it's a quick errand and you're not going to be exposed to too many people, you're not going to make too many people look at it, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But the answer,
I just looked up the definition of underwear. Clothing worn next to the skin under outer clothes. Socks fit the bill. Like this is not a hot dog. This is not a hot dog is a sandwich question.
Yeah,
like this is.
No, you're right.
I think this is pretty clear cut.
I don't think people want to accept it though. I think your gut reaction is no. But then
I think people don't think of it. They don't think of like you wouldn't necessarily call them underwear, but you have. I think once you think about the question, you have to admit they are underwear.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
But you also wouldn't like.
I was gonna go a little deeper and say are shoes clothing or accessories, but I think they count as clothes.
Clothing and accessories are sort of interchangeable. Like clothing are accessories to your body. What is an accessory? Yeah. An accessory is such a general word.
I know.
I don't even. What is an accessory? Like maybe a purse. That feels like maybe an accessory. But what do I even have accessories as a man? Like, is a belt an accessory?
A belt?
I don't know this. I'm not gonna use this.
You don't even see my wallet. That couldn't be an accessory.
That's true. Yeah.
Let's go to Yahoo Answers. This is always right. Let's see if I can find anything good here.
God.
I mean, shoes are shoes. Yeah, shoes are shoes. Like, that's, you know what shoes are called? Shoes are called shoes.
That's true.
They don't have a
Shoes
general
are-
category because the general category of shoes is shoes. I think like underwear, people use the term underwear often to just mean the underwear that's like, you know, around your waist. But I think that that's just because underwear has gotten used in that way for so long. That's what people think of. But actually, like, there are other types of underwear, like thermal underwear that you wear when you go skiing. Those are basically pants. Like, they're just pants that go on under, you know, under your regular clothes. So I think that I would say what people should do is just be more descriptive about the type of underwear they're talking about. Like, if you're talking about boxers, say boxers. Or if you're talking about boxer briefs, say boxer briefs. Let's be more specific when we're talking about what type of underwear.
Yeah.
And then we won't have this problem.
Okay.
Also, just call socks socks. They might be underwear, but there's a better way to refer to them, and that way is calling them socks.
Yeah. Okay.
Literally,
All right,
reached an agreement.
Thank you, iDwetter, for that. Consider your question answered. So yes, they are underwear. All right. Next one comes from iLukeCS, and he asks us, what is it you guys have been meaning to do for a while, but just never got around to doing it? Interesting way to ask that. But I mean, God, do we have enough? How long is this cast? Do we have enough time?
Are we talking like short term? Or are we talking
short term, long term, life goals?
Are we talking like, you know, I wish I would have talked to this friend more back when we were close, and now I can't. Now I can't because it's awkward. You know, are we talking long term regret? Yeah.
There's a lot of ways you could answer this question. I'm just going to take it as like something that like I've been interested in learning how to meditate for a long time. And I always think about it. Like, I'll see either somebody meditating or I'll see something on TV and I'll be like, oh, that would probably be really helpful for me. And I never, like, I just never act on it. I never like look it up or like get a book or watch a YouTube video. And it would take 2 seconds. I'm not saying that I could just learn how to, I mean, I don't think it's that complicated.
But you're saying you have meditation envy when you see someone and you can tell that they're just in the zone.
I have envy because I'll be like, I was going to look up how to do that. And then I don't know, maybe I don't want to do it that bad. Maybe that's part of it. But it is something that I always think of. I'm like, I was going to do that. I was going to learn how to meditate.
I like how your answer is meditation. Like, that's the thing you put off. This thing that could, I'm assuming if you think you might be into meditation, it's like something that could potentially change your life. If you were actually, if you got into it and did it, and you know, it could bring that inner peace, but you're just like you're not engaged enough with it. You're just like, no, I guess not.
That could be life changing. That could really help me deal with dude. I bet you if I did meditation, I bet you I would not have my elevator problems anymore.
Probably,
I bet you
you could be a different person.
I'd find my center. I'd have no problem getting in an elevator and just being fine with either not saying anything or having a full conversation, whatever happened.
If you got all of that stress out in a meditation session, who knows?
It's possible.
But,
maybe I'm scared. You know what I'm probably scared of? I'm probably scared of, because I'm pretty sure when you meditate, you have to like quiet your mind and stuff like that. I think I'm scared of what'll happen if I ever actually achieve that, and stuff that's really rattling around in there.
Look, I'm going to be alone with it. I know the answer when it comes to you. Like, you're gonna read the thing about meditation, and you're gonna try to do it. And then you're going to realize a couple minutes in that you can't check Reddit or Twitter or anything while you're meditating.
Like, what is happening?
And you're going to be like, why am I doing this?
Oh, man. Yeah.
27 months in a row. Crazy cookies things. My biggest thing I want to get back into that I have been just putting it off for no apparent reason is just picking up the guitar again and relearning everything I used to know and getting better at it. It's just sitting there in its case, and I just, for some reason,
that's a good example. I can sort of relate to that one because I played guitar back in high school, and I really I enjoyed it. But it's one of those things that you have to just keep doing it. You have to keep practicing, otherwise you really you just don't. You can't get very far practicing occasionally. You have to really be more disciplined with it. And I just it's not that I never got around to doing it. It was sort of the same as Scott. It's just like once you stop doing it, it's just very hard to actually get back in a routine. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna practice for like 30 minutes a day.
Yeah. My big thing is like I have to get it tuned up and restringed and all that stuff, and that in itself is just like,
great
man,
excuses to not do something. Like, oh, this would take work.
There's so many. I really need that limitless that pill. I need that limitless pill. If you've seen that movie or read the book, like I need that because like it's like when I look at like the movers and shakers and like the CEOs of like these companies, it's like, yeah, they sleep 4 hours a day, and when they're not, they're writing down all their ideas. They're like, they're doing all the shit that like the movers and shakers of the world a lot of times are the people that are doing all the things that you are not doing. So like they're not just meditating, they're like doing, they're on like some level of chi that I'll never achieve. But that's just like, that's when they wake up from like their 3 hours of slumber that they require. That's what they do first thing in the morning. Then they're on to starting another company. That's by lunchtime. And then after that, they're like, oh yeah, maybe I should get in my Tesla and go meet with NASA about the rocket I'm going to make. I feel like those are the kind of people that are doing all the stuff that we talk about when we're like, yeah, I should learn like.
I mean, I
like
think you're
the guitar. They're like, they play in an orchestra or they conduct an orchestra. Like, Christ, like, is there anything?
For a second there, you were basically describing Elon Musk, and I don't think he plays in an orchestra.
I was thinking of Elon Musk when I was saying that, but other people like that when you read about their lives and about how, like, just go they are. You're like, I'm jealous. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
I think there's definitely something to be said for someone who's disciplined and does have like I think about this, either people that play multiple instruments or people that speak multiple languages, and it's just like how are you that accomplished in this thing that seems impossible? It's like I can't even play one instrument, but you play 3 of them flawlessly, and it's just like you have to dedicate yourself to it.
You do,
and you have to maybe read a little less Reddit. Or maybe
be on the internet less.
Maybe
just wake up
an hour earlier, and not lay in bed for an hour. Like those, exactly. those are all things I really enjoy. So
exactly,
I don't know.
It's tough, but
yeah, I don't have a great example actually. I think that Tim's example, like, I really wanted to learn guitar for a while, and I sort of got okay at it, and then just stopped.
It's tough. Okay. Like me, if I were to pick it back up, it would take probably a week to remember all the chords I knew, and then again, I only knew basic chords. But it's just
guitar is good because I play guitar. I can still play guitar fairly well. Like once you learn guitar, once you've learned the basics and have played enough. Like I used to play like in my church's praise band and stuff. So I played. Because I could pick up a guitar, I would still be rusty. Like,
why are you envious of anyone? You playing guitar in your church's band? Yeah. My goodness,
you know me. I was roping in the ladies and the priests. Let me tell you, no,
just accomplishments for days over here.
No, but like with guitar, once you get to a certain point, you won't ever like forget that. Do you know what I mean? Like it is like riding a bike to a certain extent, depending on what your level is. But you can obviously always improve, especially when it comes to certain areas. But with me, it would be more like motor skills and like also like calluses and stuff, especially with bar chords and doing, like you gotta build that stuff up. So like I really don't even have an excuse because I know how to play the guitar. I just let it sit idly. Like I wouldn't even have to grind on like the theory or like the chords or anything, because once you learn it, like it. It's just my chat knows I really wanted to be a member of the band Creed, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Who doesn't though?
You could start a band and call it Creed.
That's true. I could. I'll spell it with a K.
There you go.
Or just call it like the Lord's Creed.
The Lord's Creed.
Have it be a tribute band.
We will be a tribute band, and I'll change all the words to make them just super spiritual. So like almost like hymns, but to the same all the hits of Creed. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that could work. I could do that.
It's your life after Twitch right there.
This question is going to turn it around for Scott.
Oh, this is all I've been needing.
He's been meaning to start a Creed tribute band for a long time.
A Christian Creed tribute band.
Oh, man. All right. All right, and then we have we have one more question from email via Brian, and he asked us, how long do you think you could survive in a Costco warehouse in a last man on Earth scenario?
So we're the last person on Earth, so like it's not like we have to fend off again. You know, we don't have to fight other people, whatever. It's just we're literally
last man on Earth
person
in a Costco warehouse. I'd say they got everything in there. So
yeah,
I
probably
would say
a while.
a solid year at least.
Yeah, because like everything in I think we'd have to assume everything in the colder frozen section would spoil immediately.
Yes.
And so, but they have so much stuff. Like they've just got like aisles of, cereal and other, granola bars. They've got all sorts of juice and water. Like it seems like
you have pretty much everything.
You could definitely ration it out, I think, and last a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, easy.
At least, if not longer.
I mean, your biggest thing would be depending on last man on Earth scenario. I mean, the thing you'd be more worried about the stuff like what's happening outside, I guess, right? Like, are there ravage animals loose and stuff like that? Like, is the building deteriorating from lack of upkeep? As far as like supplies, I think you could stay alive for a really long time.
I feel like even if you lasted your life, I feel like you would die of old age before the building would come down, just from deteriorating.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do got everything. Like, and if say like there's still electricity for like even just a little bit, and I'm not sure what kind of like supplies they have in the back, we could probably make up like a little smoker or something, smoke the meat, try and keep that a little bit longer.
Extend it, you cook it so it.
Even if you don't have power, you can light some shit on fire, make a little smoker of sorts.
Yeah, I mean canned goods. There's, water, like you said. There'd be a huge supply in a warehouse.
But not just canned goods. Like a granola bar will last. Like granola bar is not going to go stale for like at least a year.
And even if it does go stale, you can still eat it. It's not going to kill you, even if it's way past expiration.
Yeah.
It may not taste good.
Yeah. It's like you could survive on some of the stuff that goes stale or isn't super flavorful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think you would actually. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you would probably die from some other cause before you die from lack of nourishment.
Torvin chat said, just don't try and survive in an IKEA. The building will collapse long before you are dead. That's some shade at IKEA right there. But well said.
I think you would die of just like it would be like being in prison, because you would just be completely alone. You'd have no one to talk to. You would probably lose the will to live before you lost the resources to live.
True.
Exactly. But in Costco, there's this is very grim, but there would be a lot of ways you could probably kill yourself. Think about.
That's true. Those are big buildings.
Like a forklift or something, getting a giant pile of like, you could get crushed by some.
How much can this forklift lift before it just kills me?
Exactly.
That'd be what a way to go.
I tip over all of the aisles and I just stand in one of them, like, you could end it if you needed to.
That's true. Costco is definitely not a safe place if you're just there alone with no supervision at all. Like, you could definitely do some damage. How has no one
set up a survival show in a Costco, environment, and set people loose in like a.
I gotta go. I got some phone calls to make. See you guys later.
Exactly, right. Get them on the that would be. Maybe they've tried it because they've done everything with reality TV, but like. A survival scenario with like teams and stuff, and like you're in a Costco and you basically just have to survive as long as you can. I guess.
Right, one forklift. You could definitely find a way to off yourself with a forklift.
Exactly. That's true. I didn't even think about that. People in chat saying pharmacy meds. You could go quietly into the night. Overdose on some meds. That would be the least painful way, maybe.
Yeah, Costco has, it's like, you could choose to keep yourself alive or you could choose to end it. Costco, they've got both ends of that spectrum.
They really do. If you find yourself in a last man on Earth scenario and you're in a Costco, you lucked out because you can really choose your own. You can choose your own adventure. You really can. You can survive as long as you want, or you can just decide that, nah, I'm over it.
Oh, it's called Guys Grocery Games. I've seen that show. I've seen that show.
Oh, I've seen way too much of that show. I've watched many seasons of that show.
There was a while there was a kick of cooking reality shows, like competition shows, and I stopped there. I just could not.
Guys Grocery. Really? See, I love Guys Grocery Games. I mean, it's super. He's super. He's very guy in it, but man,
yeah,
can't get enough.
I think at that point it's just burnt out on the mall, and it just was unfortunate. It had to stop on Guy. So
think about being the last man alive, the last 2 men alive, and one of them is Guy Fieri.
No, actually, that would be awesome because that dude knows a ton of different dishes. I mean, as much as it would probably be awful to like keep his company, that guy is probably, you absolutely want that skill set in a.
But does he really know how to make that many dishes, or does he just watch other people make them and comment on the ingredients that they put in verbatim? Like, garlic salt. He just
my uncle's actually met him. He actually is a pretty good cook, from what he said. So.
No, I know he has his chops. I mean, okay, that's good. That's good. He did win the first Food Network star. He was the original of that series. I mean,
was he really?
Yeah, he was the original winner of that. I mean, he had a restaurant before that, but that's where he got all of his.
I mean, Scott, like, do you think someone else came up with turkey chili mac and cheese?
That's true.
Do you
that's so true.
Who do you think came up
that
with
is only Guy.
Old school pepperoni pizza egg rolls?
And these are real, by the way. Because we've laughed about this in previous episodes, so a lot of you know. But if you're new to the cast, these are real products.
This is real.
I didn't make that up.
These are not trolls. Oh. Can you read the pepperoni one more time?
It's old school. That's SKOOL. Oh, so actually, it's Flavortown. Obviously, at the top.
Yes,
that's like
the brand.
That's the brand. That's sort of the overarching theme.
Yeah.
Flavortown old school pepperoni pizza egg rolls.
It's so good.
Now you absolutely want someone with that level of creativity when it comes to trying to figure out how to keep things interesting in a Costco for a year.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would keep your dishes. You wouldn't get bored with the stuff that he could come up with. Oh man, unbelievable. All right. Well, good questions. Good questions tonight. I think our answer is, you can choose your own adventure. You could survive for a very long time if you choose to. You could choose to end it if that was what you decided. So, thank you, Brian, for that. And this is where we would transition into reading the iTunes podcast review of the week, where if somebody had given it some thought, they could have logged into their iTunes account. They could have gone to searched KBMOD, found the podcast, rated the cast 5 stars, and then left a review of what they've listened to over the past 268 episodes. Or they could have just put in maybe some tips on how to survive in a Costco. They could have said, they could have helped answer our question, are socks considered underwear? There's a lot of things you can put in that box. But unfortunately, for 2 weeks in a row, Brandon, we have no reviews, believe it or not. So
I don't think there's any way that the author of such a review or us on the cast would have been worse off if someone had chosen to leave a review. It would have been universally a positive experience.
It would have.
So take that chance. iTunes is a high barrier to climb, but register that account if you haven't made one, and go rate the podcast, and we might feature you.
That's right. So get that done. And like we talked about, make sure that you check out the website. Like we said, a little bit slower of a week as far as posts go, but check out that first look that Tim did on Merc. There's a video up there. And there will also be, Tim, you were teasing some other stuff that will be coming in the next week or two.
At least 2 articles this week. Zoomar might have another video of us playing Forza as well. I'm not sure where he's at on that, but some more stuff this week.
So yeah, check that out. Obviously, use the multi-stream if you want to watch multiple Twitch streams at the same time. Obviously, the build guides and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check out the website. And we appreciate you listening to episode 268, 269 next week. Oh boy, 269.
Missed that one.
Exciting. Get your tongues out for that one. You can, audio listeners, you can imagine what I just did.
And we're going to end the cast approximately 2 seconds before you made that gesture.
And, yeah, thanks again, Tim. Thanks for coming on. It was fun as always.
It was fun. Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me on.
We will see you guys next week. Farewell.
We maybe want to tell them where they can find the esteemed cast members that were here.
Yeah,
today.
sorry, I did forget about that. Yes, I guess we do have Twitters. You can find Volition at Volition, VOL1TION. Tim, I believe, is at Stefu Noob, correct? On Twitter?
Yes.
STAFUNOOB, and I am at APL Fisher. And there we go. Okay. I knew I forgot
you can follow
something.
KBMOD at
KBMOD Gaming. Yes, we do have a Twitter as well.
And just a quick note, I will be gone next week, but I'll be at PAX East. If anyone listening will be at PAX, come stop by and say hi. I'll be somewhere around the Twitch booth probably.
All right, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Jesus Christ.